Hello everyone, good evening, hi, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. Welcome back again to another edition of Moments with Lulu. I know it's been forever since I made a sit down video. Some of you may know, if you've been following me for the past months, you noticed that I was away for a really long time in Nigeria. So I went basically to see my parents, to see my family, who I haven't seen in 6 years and 3 months. So I came to Canada back in 2016 October as an undergraduate student, and thanks be to God, thanks to my family, thanks to my dad, thanks to my loved ones, and thanks to those who have supported me all through this while, I've been able to go 6 years alone, living in a foreign land with no family support except my sister. This video is just a very brief video of my experience after living in Nigeria for a while. I just want to put it out there that this video is not to praise any country over any particular country, and I know there might be some biases in this video coming from me, reason being that I've spent all my entire adulthood in a foreign land, and I'm very well aware of that myself, because knowing that I've lived here for a while, there might be some societal expectations and of course some biases from me, but that is not the purpose of this video. I hope you all sit back, enjoy this video as much as I have enjoyed thinking about it, reflecting on it, taking notes all through my experience while I was away. You all should make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe to this channel so you can get more videos in the future. Anyways, long story short, this video is just gonna be my raw and unfiltered opinion, I would say, or my raw and unfiltered experience that I went through while I was away in my home country for a long time. So without further ado, we're gonna get right into this video. And also, I need to put it out there, please, I ask to be respectful in the comment section, because sometimes this could be maybe sensitive for some people could take it the wrong way, which is okay. We all have varying opinions and ideas, but just know that before you put them out there on my comment section, you need to reflect on your own values and your own way of seeing things before you just throw things out in the public, okay? Because I know a lot of people watch my channel, and it's not just specific to people who live in Canada. I know that people who live in African countries, Nigeria as well, where I'm from, people do watch my videos, and so I ask that everyone be respectful. And again, I understand that some people may not have experienced both sides of the world. Like I said, it is a raw and unfiltered experience. Everyone has a shared experience, everyone has a lived experience, and no one's experience should be undermined or undervalued. Okay, so let's be respectful in the comment section. Okay, so the first point on my list is adaptation and cultural shock. Funny enough, someone asked me this question today, if there was any cultural shock I experienced after I went home after a long time. The biggest shock for me was paying for a service and not getting what you've paid for. You know, sometimes it's easy to get carried away, like, oh, I'm used to, there's a certain level of like living that I'm used to, I would say, in the sense that if things are not working well, and let's say I put in the effort, I go through the right system to get something fixed or something corrected, usually 90%, 80 to 90% of the time, there is some sort of resolution to the problem, right? But in a place like my home country, sometimes it's like, it was hard in the sense that you pay for a service, but then you talk so much, like you feel like, what was the point of paying? Like you could have just done it yourself, or just, you know, abandoned things and forgotten about it, kind of thing. So which was a shock to me, because I was like, why should I ask someone to do something for me? And I paid you to do a certain work, and then there's stories upon stories upon stories. Or not just that there are stories, but there are stories with some sort of like self-defense, in the sense that they are clearly in the wrong, but they feel like, you know, they didn't do anything. Like it's okay if they don't deliver the service on time, it's okay if they give excuses and stuff like that, which is not very appropriate, but it was one of those things that you know, was there, that I experienced, and I was like, ah, wow, okay. Anyways, so the second thing I was going to talk about is the food. Oh my goodness, speaking of cultural shock, I had food shock. Like, I legit had a food shock. There's a native food we call epankoko. If you watched one of my vlogs from the time I was in Nigeria, I said I was going to make a video explaining what my body went through. Like, literally, I'm sure there is epankoko in this fridge. Epankoko is a native food. Oh god, I'll tell you all the story of my epankoko. Not in this video, but some other time. What had happened to me? Hey, oh my goodness, I could not even, like, this was the worst experience of my life in the last, should I say, 6 months to 1 year. Besides period cramps, that's the only sort of pain and torture I go through. But then this one was worse than that. I had this native food, which I haven't had in like maybe up to probably close to 10 years that I have eaten this food, and it's called epankoko. So it's something that they make with like some leafy plantain vegetables, made with like this African plant of cocoyam, and then they wrap it in this plantain. There's oil, there's like this local isam, like periwinkle kind of thing. It's a seafood, right? And sometimes some people put snail in theirs. Some people use like the actual like isam, the one that hasn't been uprooted, where they've not uprooted like the isam seafood from the shell. So that is what was inside my food, like unuprooted isam. That was a big mistake of my life and I would not repeat in the future. But anyways, my body went into food shock after eating this, in the sense that I cannot necessarily call it a food poisoning, in the sense that I've had the same food ingredients, the same consistency from someone who makes it for me. So for me, it was more of a food shock, in the sense that my body went into an overdrive, that I ate this food tonight, the next morning I was throwing up, I was having diarrhea. Like, I literally had loose stools 12 times in one day. I had to drink water and salt literally for the whole day. I couldn't keep anything down my stomach. I was so scared. Like, I really do like food, so if we went out at home, I would not eat. Like, if we even went to a wedding in Nigeria, where I was like, I'm not eating. For someone like me that likes food, and I said I'm not eating for so and so reason, that was a very, very traumatic experience for me. I lived through it. After like 2 to 3 days, I was okay. But I also took some flagyl, so that's an antibiotic. But it was kind of hard to be like, okay, day 1 has passed, but I'm still having diarrhea. So I had like 12 episodes on the first day, 8 episodes on the second day, and then 6 episodes on the third day. And I'm just like, should I stop the antibiotics or should I just keep on with it? Because sometimes antibiotics can cause, a lot of times it can cause like diarrhea for a lot of people. Not everyone tolerates it, but you just have to take it for it to do the job. And I was taking oral antibiotics because it needed to work directly in my stomach. Anyways, long story short, I completed my 3-day course of antibiotic, self-prescribed, which I never recommend, but it was what was available to me at the time, so I just took it. And I was taking vitamin C and vitamin D mixed in water. Like, every water I drank contained vitamin C. And I said no, I wasn't eating anything, and then I was taking water and salt. So water and salt was my major fluid and food at the time, because if you're losing a lot of like electrolytes from puking and pooping, you want to replace those, because if you can't keep anything down, there's no point of eating things, having to puke them out. Anyways, I think my experience wasn't terrible because I took 2 vaccines before going home. So I'm going home. I just finished taking my vaccine, which is something I'm going to mention here. So I took my typhoid vaccine, and that vaccine is, I think it's valid for, I don't know how many years, maybe 10 years, I'm not exactly sure. I also took a yellow fever vaccine yes, the yellow fever vaccine is valid for a lifetime, and the typhoid vaccine is valid for 10 years. So that was one thing that I was like, ooh, like, this is not what I expected. My body is not good at rejecting anything. My body does not reject food at all, no matter what, even if I've not eaten the food before. But this one was a very, very huge shock to my body, that my body was like, ah, no. Because when I went home, the truth is that I went home, first few days, like 5-6 days, I was just eating anything. I was eating. My body was like tolerating, digesting, no issues, until I ate this local food called epankoko, which I do regret, and I will never do that again, because that was so uncomfortable in my stomach. Like, it was a very, very uncomfortable feeling. Like, the preparation that you know that it's coming, you need to go to the bathroom every minute, every second. That's not a good feeling at all. I was sick for that day. But anyways, we got through that and we moved on. My third experience was my phone breaking at home. Oh my goodness. Woo! Like I legit, I didn't even know whether, I'm not even sure what emotion I was feeling at the time, whether I cried or I just looked at the phone and I was like, okay, it's gonna be okay, or I'm not sure. I was phoneless for like a week. Hey people, so I just got a new phone.
As we thank God for you.
Back to Samsung Live. But this is temporary. If you want to buy it, please message me because this phone must be sold.
Thank you.
I was phoneless for a week, so this is what happened. Close to Christmas or just after Christmas, because my mom's birthday was December 24th. So I was on the phone with her, mommy, happy birthday, blah, 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 blah. How are you? And I'm someone that talks a lot. When I start talking to my mom, because my mom likes to talk, she always has something to say too, right? And then I got to the bathroom, I was like, okay, let me go shower. I'm gonna just keep the phone as usual because listen, this is the thing. So in Canada, I always have my phone in the bathroom while I'm showering, right? So I'm either listening to a podcast or just talking to a friend. Like, it's just normal for me to do that. So I'm in Nigeria in a shower and I have my phone right there on the shower stand or shower head or shower knob. Next thing, I'm washing my face on my phone, boom, on the floor. And I'm just like, oh, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay, we'll pick it up, we'll move. So I pick up my phone, I clean it, it's still working, right? I keep talking, still working. I finish taking a shower, I come out, I leave my phone in the sitting room, I'm watching a movie, I'm all happy, all refreshed, talk to my family. Before you know what's happening, 8 hours later from the time my phone fell, my phone went blank. Like, my screen went blank in the sense that you see those like green, red, yellow lines. I was in awe. Like, I had to literally go legit. I went to go put my phone to charge, to power, to see if the phone was actually broken or not, because there was nothing that said the screen was broken. So basically the screen of the phone wasn't broken, but it was the display, it was the internal display. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is the worst experience of my stay in Nigeria. Like, this kind of thing, like for the first 1 to 2 weeks, I felt myself being so picky. Like, I picked on everything, I complained about so many things I could not stand, which is normal. It's part of like adaptation when you go to somewhere that you've left for a long time and there's certain things that you don't expect, or there's a certain standard you're used to, which it took me a little bit to come to terms with my reality, in the sense that, oh, Canada is Canada, Nigeria is Nigeria. If you go to Rome, you have like the Romance kind of thing. And then I'm like, oh my goodness, my phone, I'm phoneless, I have no phone, nothing to communicate. And then my sister also has had a fair share of experience with phone breaking, laptop breaking and whatnot. So she tells me it's best to just keep your phone. If you know it's not that important, just keep your phone, and when you get back home to Canada, you can repair it. And me, my phone is a very good phone. Like, that phone had no problem. I've used it for 3 years. No issues at all, and that was an iPhone 11 Pro Max. Like, I got it with my hard-earned student money at the time when I was going to school. And I'm like, why should I pay a lot of money to someone to fix my screen? And mind you, the thing about Apple products is, if something happens, and let's say you have a warranty on that product, if you go back to Apple after going to someone else, like a third party or someone who is not directly involved with Apple, to fix your phone, Apple will not touch that phone because someone else has touched it. So an external hand has touched the phone. So me being me, I'm like, okay, it's just a phone, it's not a big deal. Like, it's not a life or death situation. The only thing is that I won't be able to take pictures, but I had my vlogging camera, so I will be able to take videos. So if you guys noticed, there was a period of time where I was not very consistent with posting as much as I would have loved to on my Instagram story, but I tried anyways, judging from what had happened to me. So I was like, we won't touch this phone. So it took me a week to replace my phone, and I had to go back to a Samsung Android phone. Back to Samsung Live, but this is temporary. I was like, I couldn't stand it because I wasn't used to that quality of picture, the quality of videos I was getting on the phone. So well, for me it was just more of a thing of safety, in the sense that, well, if I go out, if I'm out of the house, I need a way to communicate, to reach somebody for like emergency situation. You never know what can happen, right? So that's how we lived through that experience. And I came back to Canada and had to spend money to get the phone fixed. And mind you, it wasn't the screen, it was the display. So they had to do a display restore, whatever technical thing they had to do. And then I picked up the phone eventually, and everything worked perfectly. I didn't have any more issues with the phone. Like, everything is good with it, and I'm happy that I waited. Like, I just do believe that I'd rather take it to the manufacturer if it's not an urgent situation. So that was something that, you know, worked really well for me, and I think I was very, very patient, and I'm proud of myself for that. I mean, this is something that I really, really do need to talk about in this video. I feel like going home for the first time, I feel like there's this thing we call like diasporic crisis, which I feel like I did experience. As a matter of fact, there's a clash kind of thing. Like, no matter how you try so hard, wherever you go, if you live in a place for a really long time, you get influenced one way or the other. And sometimes you don't even know that you're being influenced. Like, it's like you cannot really control what's going on in your environment. Sometimes your environment shapes you, the way you're shaped within that environment, or the way you decide to shape yourself within that environment. Sometimes it's really, really hard to control influences, because you see yourself doing certain things, or certain things that were not okay in the past, but all of a sudden they're okay right now. And then you go home and people tell you it's not okay. Like, I know that can be like, that's the crisis I'm talking about. Like, you're trying to identify with a certain place, a certain group, and then you go somewhere else, and then it's like things have changed. That's not what it is, that's not what you should be doing and whatnot, which is normal. And I did experience that in a lot of ways, but it was also part of the fun experiences. Like, you know, I loved it. Like, there is one very example. So basically in Nigeria, we wear, like, you tie your hair to go to church. I'm Catholic, by the way. And then you come here and it's like opposites of it. And the first few months I was here in Canada, I used to cover my hair to church. And all of a sudden, along the way, it just stopped. It just happened to drop. Because I started to see it as normal. Okay, everyone's hair is open, right? And then I go home and I have no scarf, nothing to church for all the times I went to church, and I felt like it was okay. Like, I didn't really realize my environment. It was a small church anyway, so there wasn't really many people around it until I went to my village. That's when I had to hear the story. So I went to my village, and my aunt is like, you're not going to the church without your hair covered. She's like, she laughs at me and she's like, Ebe aburo obodo Igbo in Igbo, meaning this is not Canada. I was like, oh well, yeah, sure. And then I asked my grandpa for his handkerchief, because my grandpa is always carrying handkerchief in his pocket, and you had to use it to tie my hair for the day or for the mass, and that was it pretty much. So there's a lot of things that are normal, but then going home, they're not normal. You shouldn't do that, you know, kind of thing. But again, it's all part of the experience. Experience different environments, different temperature, different atmosphere, and everything was so like filled with joy for me, and I have no regret whatsoever. Despite all of these things that I experienced and that happened with me going home, I feel like the highlight of my trip was observing a lot of things. Like I said, I was home for quite a while, and I was able to observe a lot of things. Sometimes I would find that people would want to literally, before your very four eyes, they really want to cheat you. You know, you want to take advantage of the fact that you're not living in that environment. You probably don't know a lot, which is true. There was some parts of me that were ignorant of certain things, but it was wrong for people to try to prey on that ignorance, which I didn't really experience, maybe like on one or two occasions. But then I would ask questions. I would literally talk to people that I know, people who have experienced the same thing before going into before putting myself in that situation. It was that it was that important to me that even when I went to the bank and they asked me to pay for a card, so I went to open a bank account, and I went back again weeks later to get the physical card, and they asked me to drop 1,000 naira for the card. In my head, I'm like, the last time I checked, I have bank cards and I did not have to pay to get these things. But I'm just like, reality check. That's Canada, leave it there, and this is Nigeria. But anyways, it didn't really change the fact that I would still, like, I still had to question it. So I called my sister on the phone. I'm like, Anna, did you have to pay some amount of money for your card? Is this what they really do? Do I really have to pay money to get a card? Because sometimes you just want to be sure that you're not being cheated or people are not taking advantage of you. Not that you would not do it, but you just want to be on the safe side. Don't let people prey on your ignorance. It's really bad. Like, you're vulnerable as a diasporan, and that's a very, very huge reality that no one talks about, but it's something that really does happen. So my sister confirms it with me. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I have to pay, sure, no worries. So we are coming to the end of this video, and like I said at the beginning of this video, this is my personal experience. Everyone experiences life differently depending on their age, wherever they are at a particular time. This is my personal, individual, undiluted, raw and unfiltered experience after living in Nigeria for a while. I'm not here to sit down to debate which place is better than the other. My opinion is this: people should take the best of both worlds, maximize every opportunity you have, maximize those benefits, use it to your own advantage. So that brings me to the end of today's video. I hope you enjoyed listening. I of course do enjoy sharing my own personal experiences with a lot of you, with a lot of people. Like, I just enjoy like talking and listening to people. Let me tell you this: Africa is the future. Africa is the way forward, whether anyone accepts it or not. That's their problem, that's their business. It's my own personal opinion, and I have so much faith in Africa because there is room for lots of growth, lots of development that, you know, haven't been explored. With that, I will tell you to stay tuned for my next video that highlights my experiences 6 years after living in Canada. Have a safe and restful and peaceful week ahead of you. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe. Goodbye for now.